Artificial intelligence, drones and cloud computing on their own are already very, very powerful tools. So what would happen if we combine all of those together to produce amazing results with readily available technology? Let me show you how this could work. So for instance, is it possible to produce a geospatial model of a volcano, of a nature reserve, such as a bird sanctuary, or a building and infrastructure, such as this one behind me, within 15 minutes or maybe a little bit longer, maybe the typical time, average time of a TED Talk? Let's see and find out. You will be able to see what the drone itself can see. What I have got here is a small unmanned aerial vehicle, also more commonly known as drone. This is a turnkey solution. It is very lightweight. It weighs less than 250 grams, which has got implication in terms of regulation and the capability to cover as many operational areas as possible. So let's get this up into the air first. Off it goes. We need to get it up at a certain height, and I will suggest probably about 30 meters because there is some trees in the back here. We've done that. Bring it bit forward and get the camera a little bit down. I will now use one of the built-in automated flight modes that enables this drone to execute completely autonomous flying. You can see on the screen recording here, I need to select a building feature. I hit the start button and I wait for the drone to take off now to initiate the mission sequence that we just sent to it from the controller. You can actually see now on the footage, for me standing here, this is a completely autonomous flight mission. So the drone is flying by itself. It's executing a perfect circle, which me as a manual drone operator in a manual flight mode would not be able to do at all. It continues with its trajectory around the building, this perfectly shaped circle, and as part of that it also records video footage, because that's what we're after. We're collecting aerial data right now whilst the drone is flying here, collecting the video footage. The video footage is then being stored on the SD card, and we can use it further either on a smartphone or in a laptop and do some analytics around that data that has been collected. Now the camera itself, high definition, 4K. It also takes 48 megapixel pictures if we wanted it to do that, but the purpose of this particular flight mode is to doing it as quickly as possible. I'm just checking here now. It took probably about a minute and a half to complete that flying mission, and with this in mind, I bring it back down. I'll bring it over and you should be able to see me soon appearing. And once we've done that, I will collect the drone, bring it down safely, and then I can show you the next steps in terms of producing a artificial intelligence model with this kind of tool. A geospatial model with this kind of tool. So the drone is here now. Let's see if we can get it down. That is it. It has safely landed. We can fold it back now and we can go over into the other field. I can show you the bird sanctuary, and whilst we're doing this, I will give you a much better idea how the building of this geospatial model would work. So, following the collection of that video and that data, what we need to do next is we need to deploy a cloud computing tool that allows us to upload the video and split it into individual frames. The way we are going to do this is we upload it into the cloud with this tool. The tool itself then needs to be told how many frames we need and what distance in between. In order to even that out, I've worked out I need about 40 frames here with a distance of about 1800 milliseconds in between. So we're doing that now. You can see that on the screen. It takes a little while, but it's pretty quick actually in order to doing that. And the result will be 40 individual frames of the building behind us in a more or less perfect circle. These frames are then being saved down onto the hard drive or onto the smartphone, and once we've got the information on the device, we can start computing it with the AI engine that produces the geospatial model for us. So what we're going to do next is we use the individual frames that have been produced for us, and we load it into an artificial intelligence tool that will then compute geospatial alignment of these individual frames in order to produce us a pretty good geospatial model. This could be done more or less on the fly, so you could do this in the field, like where I'm now, on a smartphone, and or on a laptop, or of course you can do it on your desktop computer. Hello. And the way this works is we're loading the information into the AI engine. The AI engine then checks for quality of the pictures, checks for visual alignments only, so no usage of geospatial information other than whatever is contained within the pictures itself. I'm speeding this process up a little bit because it takes a little while, but it's still pretty quick. And once the AI engine is done with its computing, it sends us the model back. So you can take a look here on the screen now. The model itself, pretty representative, I guess, of the area where we just went, of the building that's sort of disappearing behind me. And you can then, of course, download the model data, usually as an object file, and upload it into, yet again, another cloud computing tool that allows you to sharing this information with fellow researchers, fellow scientists and analysts to undertake further analysis of whatever data it is you're looking at. So the last example I've given you has been relatively quick and relatively easy to produce. But what happens if you want much more detailed measurements, for instance, of a particular surface area, and or even height for volume measurements? Well, let me introduce you to the SLAC. The SLAC is a local bird sanctuary and a project that I have been involved with for a good few years now. One of the problems on the SLAC is the way it looks at the moment is after the treatment, but before the treatment it was plagued by an invasive species called New Zealand pygmy-weed, Crassula hemsley, and the problem with that is it's an aquatic plant that used to be imported into the UK as part of through pet shops for fish tanks, but when people emptied their fish tanks and released their fish stock back into the wild, they also released small pieces of that particular plant, Crassula hemsley. And the problem here is it likes the warm conditions, mild conditions in the UK. It has rapidly spread and it had covered the whole area, certainly most of the water surface area of this lake here and this bird sanctuary, with very dense vegetation. Now the water birds, in particular the waders, but also some of the others, rely heavily on healthy soil and mud that is accessible to them both for food but also in order to bring up their offspring. With Crassula hemsley, covering the whole area like a green carpet, the whole area changed and we lost a lot of wildlife, in particular some of the birds that normally migrate and stay over here. As a result, and in order to determine appropriate treatment methods, we have deployed turnkey solutions, drones, together with off-the-shelf AI tools and also again cloud computing to identify areas that need best treatment. And the way this works is probably easiest if I demonstrate that to you. We use another cloud computing tool. You go into the tool, open up the application, the underlying maps, you can use different maps, but the underlying maps are usually Google Maps and the like. You start mapping out the area you want to cover off with the drone, and you need to use a little bit of the AI that's built in there and a bit trial and error also to determine the optimum height, the optimum overlap of the pictures, and also the number of pictures you will get, and you can see that on the screen here. Once this has been done, we went into the field and again we give you a brief demonstration how this would work. We went into the field, we take the app on the smartphone that connects to the cloud, we download the waypoint mission that has been programmed, send it to the drone then flies up autonomously, covers this whole area, and it's a pretty wide area. It takes around 4 to 5 minutes depending on weather conditions on the day. It takes about, I think in that case, 24 pictures, collects that information. Again, we're collecting aerial data here. This time, actually pictures taken by the drone, saves it on the drone, and then it comes back again autonomously and we collect the drone with the data. Now that is the first big step, data collection, mission planning, and the nice thing about this is becoming replayable. So once you have planned one of these waypoint missions, one of these maps, you can replay this, and we've done this 4 or 5 times this year to keep a close eye and monitor the treatment throughout the year, and it has been successful, as you will see in a minute. But the data that's then collected, we use a different cloud computing tool with built-in AI to understand much better the areas that need to be treated accordingly and also to measure them. So you can see this here now. Again, we load the picture data that has been collected by the drone into this model. This model has got different options. It produces 2-dimensional models, orthophotos, models for plant health analysis, and also 3-dimensional models. So you can see the 3-dimensional model here, and it is actually possible to mark certain areas within that and determine surface measurements and then compare contrast against each other. But what's equally important, possibly more important, this model also contains various AI algorithms that allow us to color in the pictures we have taken and identify different types of plants, different types of features. We can determine whether the soil is muddy or dry, or whether there is some soil erosion happening. And we also can do a surface model that allows us to determine the different elevations across this nature reserve. Now, as a result of all of this work and very targeted treatment, I'm delighted to say that today, and you can see this on some of the footage here, the slack, at least for the time being, has been restored to its original beauty. All we need is a little bit more rain, and it's been raining a lot over the last few days. We need a little bit more rain to fill it up, and then the water birds are already returning, which is a delight to see. And then in springtime, hopefully, we will see also some of their offspring returning to the slack. I hope you found this interesting and showing the opportunities that are possible today with turnkey solutions, off-the-shelf artificial intelligence tools as well, and cloud computing in order to use this for an impactful protection of ecological habitats and also for ecosystem risk management. Because whilst this is all good right now, this is a continuous effort, and this work is likely to continue over the next 10 years or even longer. And I'm also delighted to say that some agricultural departments and some governments, particularly from developing nations, are very interested in this low-cost, high-impact solution in order to improving the world we live in. Thank you so much.